out of the ordinary. I will kind of touch it with kid gloves because I did cut my finger with this mandolin really well about 2.5 weeks ago. It's on the mend. It's definitely better than it was, but I have my finger caught on to protect it, to keep moisture off of it. I literally just wash my hands because I have to wash my hands to do this. I was debating on whether or not to do this with the kitchen, the stand mixer, but I'm gonna see how it goes with this, and I may switch over. Who knows? I may have to start over and do this again from scratch. But let's go ahead and try to see how far I can get with this. I'm like, it's tender, but I can still. Anyway, I actually literally have it on video, me cutting it and me going ah. I'm debating on whether or not I'll make that video, but that's another. Talking about making that video might be just be the video itself. I'm thinking. So this is all-purpose unbleached flour. I need 500 grams of it. That was 390 grams. I bought another bag. So let's go ahead and get this up to 500 grams of flour. So, the bag gets messy and it's sort of hard to keep. I want to make sure little creatures stay out of this. So keeping it in a container like this is better for me. Ideally, you want to keep it in the bag because the bag is paper and this is plastic. Maybe if I could find glass containers for that, that would be awesome, but I just have not looked. So this is filtered water. This is filtered water, but I don't think you would need filtered water. I just use filtered water because that's what I have and I feel more comfortable using it that. There's no other reason. 375 grams of water. We're going to do a 75% hydration. For me, that's the best hydration. I've had the best luck. So I've warmed this up to around 92, 94 degrees Fahrenheit. That should do it. I like to keep a bit of, we don't want to introduce it, because I took it out of the fridge and it's, it's like 40 degrees. So I raised it up to, like I said, 70 or 92 degrees. We want to introduce warm, too much warmth and then it goes overboard and then it's gooey and then it doesn't work. Not enough and it goes really slow. Having not enough is better because if it takes a little while, it takes a little while. Today in Houston, I'm in Houston, Texas. As you see, the sun's coming in from these both windows. It's going to be hot today. It's going to be at least 95 degrees Fahrenheit. So that factors in. As muggy as all get out. It rained 2 days ago and it's still a little bit damp outside. And that's because it didn't really rain that much here. Some people got a lot of rain in the city, but we didn't where I am at. So I'm just stirring it with one finger. I'm a little nervous about doing this because it's still a tiny bit tender if I press down on it. And doing this means you press your whole hand. So I've done this with my left hand because I have cut my finger previously, but not this bad. I'm going to reference the finger over and over again. I'm debating on how I'm going to put out that video because it's literally, you hear me cut and you hear me walk away and I'm standing over here in the corner like fretting trying to get the bleeding to stop and figuring out how bad and how deep it was. So anyway, see, like that, I just pressed down on it and I didn't mean to swipe away everything. I am not left-handed, I'm right-handed, so this just feels absolutely foreign to do this. but it feels a lot safer. Cutting yourself, burning yourself is just comes with the territory. That's just the hazard at hand. It's not a goal. It's just something that happens. There, accidents happen. So make sure you have your first aid kit. Thankfully, I had all of my gear in the other room. I could just go in there and start doing first aid to stop the bleeding first. It did take about 10 minutes to stop bleeding. It's been about, like I said, it's been about 2.5 weeks. So I'm a little bit better at talking about it. I'm right-handed. Having this covered, it's not going to be easy. Part of me just wants to get in and move everything around with my right hand and see how far I can take it. But doing it with my left hand, I mean, I might as well just do it with my feet at this point. I'm so used to doing it with my right hand. And I have my stand mixer right in the shelf, but I really I just enjoy doing this process with my hands. And it's vibe. I can feel the vibe of everything a lot better doing it this way. And doing it with stand mixer is absolutely great. It works. People do it all the time. Bakeries do it with giant mixers. No shade, no shame in using a stand mixer at all. Part of the fun of this is making bread, is doing this part. Ooh. This hand, the problem is you can't do it with both hands, I don't think, just because I'm gonna lose some of the flour, but I did put a little extra flour in anticipation. So realistically, I did 510, but I guarantee you, I just washed away 10 grams of flour. So maybe I just do it with 3 fingers and I go slow. This is the auto lease, so I'm just mixing water and flour together. I'm not putting in my starter yet, which my starter, it's almost 11 o'clock in the morning. I fed it just before 7 a.m. The room is around 75 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's almost ready to go, because you want to take it on the way up. You don't take it on the way down. And even if it's a little bit slow, which it's not today because it's warm in here, you want it on the way up. So that way, when you essentially give it more food, it'll keep going up. And it'll just refresh it, basically, right? So, yeah. There's always hazards to doing this. There's always complications. Typically, my complication is a different ingredient or a preparation method, not me not having all of my digits at my disposal. You're always going to have something. If it's not one, there's an old character on Saturday Night Live, Roseanne and Dan. I always think about that. If it's not one thing, it's another. There's always something. Normally I under and flip, but I'm trying to keep this finger out of play mostly. And I think that's it. You see how it's sticky. It's going to be sticky, but letting it rest will get rid of most of that. See, my fingers are still really covered in everything. That's fine. We're going to take this. You don't have to put it in a different bowl. I do. I just do for convenience. Neutral oil, in this case a vegetable oil and a spray. Oof. It's hot and it's sticky outside, so that plays a factor. So okay. Try to recover as much of this as possible. And plus, I'm gonna wash my hands, so I'm gonna have to scrape all this off anyway. Might as well go where it needs to go. So we have it in our bowl. If you just keep it in the same bowl, that's fine. There's no problem with that. I don't think. I wouldn't think so. If you just want to have one bowl to wash, I completely get that. Cover it with a wet towel. I do this because I have a cover, a plastic cover that can go over the top of it. That just makes it easier for me. I'm not going to put it anywhere warm. I'm not going to put it anywhere. It's just going to sit at room temperature, and we'll be back in like an hour or so. Our dough looks pretty good. Got our starter. Let's fire this. Add 15 grams of salt to our dough. The thing about this recipe is this version of the bread is vegan. There is only salt, water, and flour. That's it. There's nothing else in it. Some people do, they add oil or add an egg, or that's fine. I don't. It's your taste. It's your bread. But I just do it this way, and all of the power, and by power I mean flavor. Actually, all the flavor is in the starter, I feel. So this starter I've had for three and a half, 4 years, something like that. So it ages and it just gets better like a wine. So we need 15 grams of salt. You need the salt, otherwise this will not have any flavor. Flour is a raw ingredient and can have nasty things in it that will make you sick. So don't eat raw dough. But I can't control you. If you want to do that, that's your problem, not mine. That's why you put a nice wet towel over it, or in my case, a cover. So there's the patch of salt right here. I haven't found a way to really distribute the salt evenly other than this. Or if you use the mixer, but you just got to work it. Which, I mean, it's just part of the process. That way you know what your dough feels like. I can feel my dough is a little bit above room temperature, but it is cool to the touch because it is not my skin temperature. You don't want it to be that hot. You need it to be, I've tried to do like 82, 84 degrees for my dough when I'm getting it prepped, and I've just run into problems. So I found keeping it at room temperature all the way up until you're ready to proof it. Then you raise the temperature a bit. Works fine. So this is just one of those things. It's vibe, and it's just feel and experience. So if you want to have a good loaf of dough, this is my 95th loaf of dough. You just got to keep doing it. Just like anything, when you start cooking stuff and you figure out the way you want to cook it and the way it tastes good to you, it's you just kind of go by feel, and you know what temperature to hit and what texture and what it looks like when it's cooked properly, and what seasoning to add and when to add it and all that good stuff. Just got to get in there, get your hands in there and get it done. But having a proper recipe takes all the guesswork out of it. And, you want to have a good starting point. If you have a strong starting point, then it makes all of this process much quicker. It's cooking, right? Or in this case, baking, which there is a difference, right? That's why I always, always want to make sure to differentiate. This is baking. Like when I do the chickpeas, that's cooking. I'm going to make a steak in a few minutes, but that's cooking. My starter. Oh, I don't have this on autofocus. Hold on. and I realized it's not on autofocus. Now it's not autofocusing because when you take it out of autofocus, I noticed you have to kind of force it back into autofocus. I don't know if it's, there we go, see? There's my starter, looks good. I fed it around six hours ago now. I found it peaks, if I'm keeping it at room temperature, around 75 degrees. It peaks around 8 hours. So you want to use it before it peaks. So 2 hours before peaks, typical peak time, I'm going to use around 110 grams. So let's take a look here. This is the key component. This is the thing we work on and we work for. We constantly are having to take care of our starter. I feed it once a week, even if I'm not making dough or making bread. I keep it in the fridge, I take it out of the fridge, feed it once or twice sometimes, then I put it back in the fridge for the week. So, like on a Friday night, I take it out, and then Saturday morning I feed it. That's what I did this week at least. And that allows it to turn over and to be nice and fresh and strong. Oh, look at that, 109 grams right off the bat. I don't know if that shows up on camera that well, but 109 grams is close. The more, you can add more starter if you want. The more you add, the quicker it goes. The less you add, the slower it goes, just like with temperature. You're going to want to just, again, vibe. Okay, I know if I do this, it's going to feel like this, and then I'll be able to do that. And it's, you know, it's just practice, practice, practice. There's nothing that can replicate that. I'm turning into a curmudgeon, turning into a Luddite, especially with people constantly talking about the so-called AI, which is just an algorithm that guesses for you, basically. And I know you could probably go into ChatGPT or Copilot or something like that and tell it what to do, and it'll give you a good blah, 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 blah. But all it's doing is just scraping everybody else's data and reading it back to you. Right. So anyway, everything is political, and food is the absolute most political thing there is. Don't let anybody tell you differently, because food is incredibly political. Ooh. Because if you don't eat, you die. Water and food are the pinnacle of political things around you. You may not like it. That's just the reality of the situation. You're constantly in a the dough holds together really well. I got that little brown spot evened out. So now it's beige. And we're done. That was the hardest, dirtiest part of the whole process. Oof. It's just a bit sticky. A little bit, maybe a bit too sticky, but letting it rest now. We're going to let this rest for about 30 to 45 minutes at room temperature, so around 70 degrees, 75 degrees. Going to cover it, going to let it sit to the side, and we'll be back with our next steps in like 30 to 45 minutes. So we have it. It's been sitting for a little while, about 30 minutes. You want to get your hand wet, because if your hand is dry, it will stick. If your hand's wet, it will not stick. So we're just going to take it, pull it up, move over, The dough is a little bit cool, but I'll err on the side of cool over warm because I've had issues with it warming up, getting too warm too quickly. We don't need it that warm yet. So I'm going to do this probably 3 or 4 times. Once it starts going, see how it's smoothed out just with those couple. It looked really scratchy when I started, but now it's a lot smoother looking. So yeah, I think we're in good shape. We're going to do this, going to let it sit for another 30 minutes or so and do it again. We do this I do it 3 times total. You can do it fewer or more times as you see fit. So again, vibes. All right, we got our stuff here. So we're going to shape our loaves and get them ready for proofing. Go ahead and pour out our dough. See if it comes out. It's a little bit stickier than I'd like, but it's definitely workable, which is what matters. So I'm going to cut it in half. You got to do this quick because it will stick back together. Oop, just like that. So stretch it out and build tension. Point this down just a little bit. There we go. Build tension in it. Yeah, this dough is about room temperature, so it feels cold, but it's not. Here we go. Got to build some tension in it. There you go. So that looks pretty good. Okay, there we go. So let's go ahead and cover these. I use a shower cap and spray some neutral oil in it. Let me get this. It's a little bit sticky. Like I said, it's a little bit stickier than I like, but I think it'll be okay. Rinsing off some of this residual dough. So I spray a little neutral oil, so that way when it moves around and it might get close, it won't stick. All right, so these are ready. I'm going to put them, the oven's still kind of warm because I just finished cooking. So I'm going to put them in there, and they should probably only take about 15 minutes because it's so warm in there still. You don't want it too hot, but it'll be all right. I'm going to leave the door open because it's probably around 150, and I need it to be around 100. It'll be all right as long as I leave the door open. It is bake day. So let's see what we got here. I don't know how these are going to turn out. I never know, really. I just hope it's going to be okay, but you never know. So let's do this. It's cut. It seems to be holding decent shape, so that's always a good sign. Now what we're going to do here is take our pot out in an oven that's been preheated to 500 degrees. Take my pot out. I'm going to drag this, put this into my pot, and we'll bake it. We're going to bake it with the top on for 24 minutes. And then it's top off for about 10 for color. And hopefully we'll have a nice loaf of bread. Set a timer for 24 minutes. And there we go. I think it's usable. I think it's edible. It's small, but I think it's something. It's not gonna win any awards, but it will be enough to make a nice snack. Be used. But my plan is to have it for jam or something like that. You know, nothing. I'm not gonna enter it in a contest and win an award, but it is absolutely functional. I think it's edible. It did not rise that much at all, but it did kinda. So, you know, it's definitely not A+ work, but I blame myself, of course, because I'm the only one that did anything with this. But, you know, you got to keep working at it. I think I didn't give it enough time, and I didn't give it enough. I should have just used the mixer instead of just trying to be tough it out or whatever. So let's go ahead and do the next one. This one was more promising. Let's just put it that way. So let's go ahead and put our cuts in. I'm going to put 3 so that way I know which one was which. Although it doesn't really matter a whole lot. It is definitely edible. You definitely can. My plan is to use it for, you know, toast in the morning. Have something, have a snack. So let's go ahead and put this one in. Set a timer for 24 minutes. So yeah, I blame, you know, not being able to put enough oomph into it, which I should have just used a mixer, and I should have just put my ego to the side and said, okay, let me try the mixer. I've been meaning to do that anyway, but it's good enough. And the other one's in the oven. If it looks really, really good, I'll put it on video. Otherwise, it's probably going to look like this one. So we'll try it again next week. That's the thing about bread. It doesn't cost too much to make it. It takes time. It costs in time, but other than that, you just keep swinging. You're gonna have good weeks and bad weeks, or at least I have. Maybe you'll get to a point where you're an expert and you can do it perfect every time. Which kudos to you if that's the case. But I'll make another one next week.